In Jurassic World Dominion, there is a moment where the character Ian Malcolm throws a stick with a flaming locust into the mouth of the Giganotosaurus. The dinosaur then roars in defiance, blowing fire out of its mouth, looking very much like a dragon. This visual, whilst fun, has mostly been dismissed by many as just a cool visual put in the film merely to thrill audiences. However, I think it holds a much deeper significance to the narrative around Biosin and Dodson's story in the movie. Many archetypal dragons are depicted as entities which guard a hoard of treasure, or gold, as seen in Tolkien's The Hobbit with Smaug, a large fire-breathing dragon which rests within a mountain atop a pile of gold. This idea of dragons hoarding treasure originates from Persian mythology, where evil dragons guarding treasure are defeated, the treasure eventually passing to the king who represents the good. In Dominion, the Giganotosaurus sits upon gold in the form of the amber mines which run beneath the sanctuary in the Dolomite Mountains of Italy.
This must be the old amber mines.
Whilst not actual gold, only gold in colour, amber in the Jurassic movies is a source of wealth to those who wish to mine them for prehistoric DNA. And like Smaug himself, the Giganotosaurus, hidden within the mountains of Italy, also is seen sleeping, resting on its gold as if waiting to be confronted by a knight. And speaking of knights, Ian Malcolm represents one such character taking on the dragon. In the scene where he causes the Giganotosaurus to breathe fire, the visuals presented within this scene are very much reminiscent of the story of St. George and the dragon. Most depictions show St. George thrusting a sharp weapon into the mouth of the dragon, which is exactly what Malcolm does to the Giganotosaurus. With the Giganotosaurus being the metaphorical or even literal dragon of the mountain sitting on top of mines of gold, so too does Lewis Dodson represent another dragon who hoards treasure. This man has wormed his way into collecting dinosaurs from around the world, dinosaurs which he sees as a type of treasure. We know he sees them as treasure in the way he describes the dinosaurs to Dr. Henry Wu.
Hey, if they trace the locusts back to us, they come for the dinosaurs. All your work, gone. Billions of dollars in assets, gone. Diamonds with no one to mine them.
The dinosaurs are wealthy assets to Dodson for a number of reasons, again something he verbally describes himself.
No, we've already identified dozens of applications for paleo DNA. We're talking about cancer, Alzheimer's, autoimmune. We will be saving lives, but...
We also learn through dialogue that Dodson's company Biosin has been collecting dinosaurs for years, with his right-hand man Ramsey admitting the first generation of dinosaurs at Biosin were not actually their own creations, but dinosaurs taken from the island Isla Sorna, a place owned by rival company InGen.
Well, Biosin bought this land for the amber deposits back in the 90s, but we've managed to turn it into a safe haven for about 20 displaced species. The first generation came from Sorna. Most of the nublar dinosaurs are here too.
Also later in the movie, in a scene where Dodson is doing his best to erase evidence of wrongdoing, he admits he has been collecting assets for literal decades.
Of course, yeah.
Are you deleting research files?
We are, yes. You and I gotta protect what we built, right? You think they wouldn't love to get their hands in here? Take all the resources I've spent decades collecting?
With us, the audience, knowing full well his malicious actions in obtaining such assets. And let's not forget Maisie Lockwood, who could be seen as a princess this dragon has captured and is keeping in his tower. Dodson even describes Maisie as the most valuable treasure in this scene.
She's the most valuable intellectual property on the planet.
A hoarder of treasure indeed. Dodson is a serpent character, snake-like in his behaviour, seen all the way back in the first Jurassic Park when he hires Nedry to sabotage the original park in order to steal embryos for his own company. Speaking of Nedry, the costume design of the characters in the Jurassic series are visual cues to character intent and the overall narratives at play, such as John Hammond being dressed in all white to make him seem godlike, a life-giving creator to the dinosaurs, and Ian Malcolm being his opposite, being dressed all in black, warning John what he is doing is bringing chaos into the world. These kinds of visual cues deepen the storytelling, and Jurassic World Dominion is no different in this regard, especially when it comes to the character of Ramsey Cole, Dodson's right-hand man, who is secretly working with Malcolm to get a locust DNA sample out of Biosyn's sanctuary in order to blow the whistle on Dodson being behind a plague of genetically engineered hybrid locusts which are threatening the entire world's food supply. To represent this visually, his clothing links back to Nedry's costume in Jurassic Park. Both Nedry and Ramsey are dealing in corporate espionage, and they both wear similar looking shirts when doing so. However, in Jurassic World Dominion, there's a bit more to it. Before it's revealed that Ramsey is the whistleblower who is working with Malcolm, we see he wears a dark blue jacket over his, let's call it the espionage shirt. The colour of this jacket matches the colour of Dodson's shirt, which Dodson wears underneath a grey jacket. Note in this scene, both Dodson and Ramsey are concealing information from one another, and that is visually represented in the colours of their costumes. Dodson's neutral grey jacket conceals his true identity and motives from everyone. A plain boring top concealing a dark blue shirt which represents his true identity. Ramsey wears the same dark colour blue on the outside on his jacket to visually show his link to Dodson and the fact that he's aware of Dodson's darker side, which, as mentioned, Dodson tries to hide. But he too is hiding his true motives underneath this jacket with his espionage shirt, which matches Nedry's. Then, once it's revealed in the film that Ramsey is the catalyst for the entire espionage plot to bring down Biosyn, his dark blue jacket has been shed and he wears his betrayal openly, completely removing his loyalty to Biosyn and Dodson. So with Ramsey wearing colours to signify his loyalty to Dodson on the outside, but concealing his true motives on the inside, and the fact the colours of his true intentions closely match those seen with Nedry, we get a real sense that the story around Dodson's undoing is focused around what goes around comes around, a circular closing of a loop. The story of Dodson's downfall coming full circle from his actions in Jurassic Park and what Nedry did to try and achieve Dodson's goals is no more obvious than the scene where Dodson dies. Whilst trying to escape Biosyn Valley, he boards a Hyperloop train to try and get to the airfield to make his escape. However, after the heroes of the story reroute the power to aid in their own escape, the Hyperloop train shuts down and Dodson is trapped defenceless and eaten by 3 Dilophosaurus, the same dinosaurs which incidentally ate Nedry as he tried to escape Jurassic Park. Whilst very much on the nose, this does fit with the themes of karma that surround Dodson and Biosyn's story in Dominion. It's a very circular story and the visual motifs of circles permeate Biosyn's sanctuary. Most obvious is the logo for the company itself, which has circles within circles and circles coming off circles, and Biosyn's headquarters being this huge circular structure inspired by Apple's real-life headquarters. Anyway, as I was saying, circles are seen everywhere at this location. Whether it's the outposts which are dotted around the valley, to lights in the main plaza, to decorative images on the walls, and even a Hyperloop system used by Biosyn staff to navigate their sanctuary. Circles are everywhere. I'm not sure whether this was intentional in its link to the narrative of what goes around comes around, but it is extremely fitting. Other circular narratives surrounding Dodson's downfall can be seen by what leads to his death. So he burns the locusts to try and erase his mistake, but in turn the burning locusts escape, causing an evacuation of the valley. This forces Dodson into the Hyperloop system to make his escape, which is where he'll meet his end. Not only that, but the burning locusts are what cause Malcolm and Co to lose control of the Jeep, leading to the vehicle rolling down a hill where they meet up with Owen, Claire and Kayla. This group travel to the control room where they learn they need to reroute the power to turn the aerial deterrent system back on to stop the pterosaurs from attacking them when flying out of the valley. The same aerial deterrent system which was turned off by Dodson when he tried to kill Owen, Claire and Kayla when they were flying in to rescue Maisie. So, by our group of heroes turning that system back on when rerouting the power, the Hyperloop shuts down, leaving Dodson at the mercy of the Dilophosauruses. Karma in motion. When it comes to the death of the Giganotosaurus, the circular narrative is most definitely at play. However, this is only relevant to the extended cut of the film, which frankly is the true version of the movie, as director and writer Colin Trevorrow explained on Twitter. In the opening, we see the Giganotosaurus woken up by the arrival of a Tyrannosaurus. The two do battle, resulting in the Giganotosaurus killing the Rex. We see a mosquito land on the face of the dead T-Rex, sucking blood from it and flying off. Then we hard cut to 65 million years later, and we see the InGen clone of that same T-Rex running from a helicopter which is trying to capture it on mainland America. The Rex eventually does get captured and sent to Biosyn Sanctuary, whereabouts it comes face to face with another Giganotosaurus and manages to avenge its own death by killing this Giga to become the new apex of this valley. Whilst not literally supposed to be taken as the Rex remembering its own death to avenge itself, that would be stupid, as one is dead and won't retain memory of that incident, it's more a narrative for the audience to follow, as director Colin Trevorrow explained in this behind the scenes clip.
The sequence recontextualizes the ending of the film. It gives it much more power and much more weight because we understand that the T-Rex is avenging her own death 65 million years later.
What goes around comes around once again. In the scene where the Giganotosaurus meets its fate, we're shown more circular motifs, most notably the Rex appearing behind a circular water feature and the location where the final battle takes place, the circular Biosyn facility. Even the Giganotosaurus and the Tyrannosaurus circle one another in the opening scene and this final battle. And remember, I mentioned at the start of the video that in Persian mythology, the treasure of a defeated dragon is passed to a king who represents the good. Well, who inherits Biosyn Valley from the Giganotosaurus? Why, the king of the dinosaurs and fan favourite, the Tyrannosaurus of course, which is greeted by other Tyrannosaurs to live out its remaining days in peace. So, both Dodson and the Giganotosaurus stories mirror one another. Both are the apexes of their respected domains, both seem calm and collected on the surface, but have the capacity to lash out dangerously and aggressively. They both even walk pretty slow, and both pick a fight and try to kill the newer and older generation of heroes, which is ultimately what leads to their demise. And most importantly, both Dodson and the Giganotosaurus are dragons hoarding treasure. With Dodson, it's more literal, with the dinosaurs and genetic power representing the treasure he hoards, and with the Giganotosaurus, it's more metaphorical, as it sits upon piles of golden amber underneath its dominion. Both of these characters playing significant roles in the closing of a narrative loop which began with Jurassic Park. I'd like to thank the Dinosaur Man for helping inspire this video through our discussions about visual storytelling in the Jurassic movies on social media, and Shinobi Free for helping point out the costume links between Ramsey and Nedry in a post he did. Link to their profiles are below. Thank you for watching everyone, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please subscribe, like, all that jazz, and more videos coming soon, I promise.